lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think he missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Hello and welcome to the track too tough to tame for the Darlington 100. This is round 21 of the 2016 Premier Racing League Coastal Safety Auditors Grand National Series. We're going to have it all for you live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Michael Smith. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and our camera sets are provided by Dougie Beard. 3 races, that's all that's left until the start of the chase for the championship, Smithy. And while the drivers will want to race each other to get into that chase, it's really the track that they need to be racing to score a solid finish tonight.
Oh, absolutely it is. Darlington, as you see it right there, too tough to tame, also known as the Lady in Black. 1.37 miles, a little bit different banking between the two ends. You can also see she's not a perfect circle. She ain't a perfect oval. She's got a little bit of all kinds of craziness going on. You're riding up right next to the wall. And today it's going to be even a little bit tougher because of how hot and slick it is. This thing is warm. We're talking about 125 track temp. It's going to be pretty slick. And it's going to make what is already a tricky course that much tougher. As you say, these guys are going to be racing the track, but they got to keep one eye on the points all the time because we are running out of time to be in the chase. You got to be either have a win and inside the 25 in points or top 12, so those guys will be keeping an eye on that. We're looking at 74 laps, 100 miles around this thing. These guys are only going to be carrying 60% on fuel. That's what they have it set in these fixed setups. Everybody does have the same setup underneath the hood. But even though you can do it at 1 stop on fuel, we're probably going to be looking at 2 because tire fall off will be a big storyline tonight here, Sam.
Absolutely it will, and I believe we have a lap guide to show you what a lap around this Darlington Speedway looks like. So let's go to that here and give you a driver's perspective of this racing circuit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Brian Yasek, taking you for a spin around Darlington Raceway in the GSRC Chevrolet Camaro. Darlington is a historic old worn out facility, but it is a driver and fan favorite, all the like. Down into turn 1, letting it float out of the gas, kind of hook the apron there a little bit to help it turn. The unique thing about Darlington is you're always playing with the throttle. It's not like your traditional oval tracks where as soon as you get back into the gas, that's it. You're constantly playing with the throttle here at Darlington, so it really takes a smooth foot to get around here great. So, off of turn 4, back down across the line. Really, you're not going to hook that apron again down here into turn 1, letting it float out halfway into the throttle, back into the gas a little bit, then you're back out of the gas again to let it hook towards the bottom. Try to get it going off the corner. Got a little squirrely for me there. Off into turn 3, brake right about where the checkered line start, or the dotted line on the bottom of the track starts. Now you might see guys run up here, float it up to the middle, and then try to diamond off and go straight off the corner. As the tires run out, that could be a great line to run. So, with that being said, this completes our track guide around Darlington Raceway in the GSRC Chevrolet Camaro. I'm Brian Yasek. Enjoy the show.
Alright, so that's what the track is like. Let's have a talk about the drivers, and I'm going to apologise here for a little typo I made in the script. It's actually the top 20 in points. If you're in the top 20 in points with a win, that locks you into the chase. So let's have a look at the point standings here. The drivers who are up there, and there you see there are 9 drivers sitting in the top 20 in points who have a win. They are essentially locked into the chase because there's only 3 races between now and when the chase starts. Don Runkle Jr., Pierre Daigle and Joe Hassett have scored the most amount of points without taking a win, and so they would also be in the chase right now. But Jeff Ryan and the rest on back, they need a good finish tonight here, Smithy, and we're about to find out where they're all going to start because practice is over and qualifying has started.
Indeed, as you say, qualifying, getting ready to head underway. And one thing I want to point out is last time we were broadcasting here on GSRC, Big Joe Hassert was on the outside looking in. Well, he's found his way up in there after runs at Michigan as well as Bristol. Now 5 points in the green with Ryan trying to find his way out. You see Joe on screen right now. He's found his way in, but he's doing it on points. He could make his life a lot easier if he could just get that W. We'll see what he can do in qualifying and see if any of these guys outside the chase right now can bump themselves in and not have to worry about points at all.
Each driver has a track to themselves for the next 10 minutes. They won't need all of those 10 minutes, so they just need to put on 2 laps around here. But I almost wonder if we're going to see some cars opt to not turn a lap in qualifying so they can start from the back due to the high track temperatures. However, here are the cars who are on track. We're watching the number 1 of Joe Hassert there, and the number 55 of Brian Jarzik here in the traditional, what's became the traditional Darlington fashion of recent, is to have a few throwback paint schemes. We've got several of those on the drivers' cars tonight, Smithy.
Well, indeed, and some people have told me before, you throw on an old scheme on there, gives you a little bit of race and luck, a little bit of race and speed. Jarzik, you see him slip sliding around there, third in that one lap. I'm not sure if he's going to go for another. Looks like he is setting up for a second lap. Be curious to see if any of these guys can go a little bit faster on lap 2. I'll tell you, Darlington's a place where rhythm is a big deal. You can get in rhythm here, you can find a little bit more. You get out of rhythm, it takes you a few laps to come back. Let's see if Jarzik can find anything a little extra. I think at third might be where he sits for the current time being for Jarzik. See if anybody else can find a little extra lap. Look like right now Jeff Ward's the guy to beat. 28.8 is the fastest lap so far here in qualifying.
Yeah, Jeff Ward also ran a 28.8 in practice. He's been the only driver to break into the 28.8, so he's definitely going to be the driver to beat, it looks like. Woodrow Mahan, it looks like he pushed it a bit over the limit during his qualifying run. You see a kink there in the right front fender on that number 07 machine, but he's still qualified second. Troy Haight comes across the line. He currently goes to P10. He was 13th fastest in practice, but I think he still has another lap available.
Indeed, somebody I'm going to keep an eye on here, see if he can put down a lap, is Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan was P2 in practice. Still a good 80 thousandths slower than Ward, if you want to call it slower, 80 thousandths. But he was a little bit off. He was P2 in practice. To see if he can find a little extra. We also got Nick Thames, who was fast in the practice session. He had a 5th fastest time. If you're in the 28s, you seem to be one of the guys getting it done. A lot of these guys putting down low 29s. Not quite able to bust into that top 5. Right now, your best, Jeff Ward, 28.8, followed by Woodrow Mahan, Brian Jarzik, Paul Pepper, and Brian Mellendorf, your provisional top 5.
Yeah, it looks like Nick Northrop just pushed Brian Mellendorf back there in the top 5. And currently we're watching Brian Hubble. He's actually the only car on track right now. It remains to be seen if the drivers such as Tommy Ryan and others, as Brian gets in the wall there, are even going to turn a lap during qualifying at all. This is going to be ugly. Yeah, good thing it's just virtual racing.
If you realize it's not going to go well, you get out of there and you reset and you try and go again, get at least 1 lap in the books. 1 lap in the green. He actually did get 1 lap in, so that might be it for him. 29.3, not what Brian Hubble wanted. And I think he's just putting cement on the point there.
Well, we've got 6 minutes of qualifying left, but we have no cars on track right now, and I don't think any are in a hurry to get out there. So let's go ahead and read down our grid. I'll wait to see if my directors are alright with that.
I'll tell you, we got quite a few people, a couple big names still yet to go. Right now, that's your provisional starting grid. You got Ward at the sharp end there. That's his fast time, 28.8. Only other guy in 28, as we said. Jeff Ward, P1. Woodrow Mahan, P2. Just 0.78 off in second. Jarzik, third. Paul Pepper, fourth. Nick Northrop, right now, your provisional top 5.
Yeah, and that would give Jeff Ward the Savage Spinners Pole Award if he's able to hold on to that. Rounding out the third row there, you see Brian Mellendorf and DJ Beverly and Jeff Ryan. Rounding out row 4, and Travis McCreastron and Troy Haight within 0.4 of a second in the top 10. Now, 0.4 of a second around a 28-second track is actually pretty significant, but it's not too surprising, Smitty, as we look at the next 10 cars lined up here, considering the fact that that the track temperatures are high, some drivers are going to have more difficulty than others. Why don't you read out the next 10 cars here, though, because drivers' chat has been enabled, which usually means qualifying, as far as the driver's concerned, is over.
Indeed it is, and that means James Krahula is P11 on the starting grid, followed by Pierre Daigle, Brian Hubble, Dylan Ackert, Norm Pelletier, Joe Hassert, 16th. Those are the guys getting the time in. After that, we got guys no times. There's no times from on back. Tommy Ryan, 17th. Benny Ellison, 18th. Rick Monzo, 19th. Don Runkle Jr., 20th. A lot of guys trying to start from the back here, try to keep it clean as we go into the next row.
Yeah, some drivers opting to not qualify. They may have just put themselves slam bang in the middle of the field by doing that. Mark Allen, Jonathan Lawrence, Nick Timms, Randy Yoakum, Calvin Filarski, Drake Wright, and Jason Galvin, who only just joined the session. And now you see Justin Roden only just joined the session as well. His name appeared in the iRacing survey right at the same time it came on screen here. Almost wonder if that means we'll see Galvin and Rodden go out on track, considering the fact they only just got here. Or maybe, well, the drivers' meeting has started, so no, they'll probably won't let them on track during the drivers' meeting. But definitely right now, Smithy, it looks like Jeff Ward is going to be the driver of the beat. He's fastest in practice, he's fastest in qualifying. He's the only driver in both sessions to break into the 28.8s. And also, he has 4 wins this season, more than any other driver. You won't be getting a lot of money put back. I'm trying to say you won't be getting a lot of money back if you did put money on him, because I think the odds are in his favour.
Well, he's certainly going to start things off nice. But what's interesting is the different strategies here. You do have some very fast cars, some very fast drivers a little bit further back, with about 26 or 27 drivers who are looking to possibly take the green here. Half of them a little bit better and half not qualifying or doing the quali. Only about 10 in the back that didn't. The thing about Darlington is you can be smooth and pick people off as you go, save your tires, do a little bit better in the long run. You can see some varying strategies, and we talked about Jason Galvin just jumping in there. One thing I do want to point out, he's the cat who won Irwindale. That's riding up close to the wall as well, so Galvin, from maybe P last, could be an interesting one to go watch.
Yeah, unfortunately for Galvin, he is one of only 3 race winners this season who has won a race and is not going to be in the top 20 in points, so he will not be able to compete in the chase, which starts in 3 rounds' time. 3 rounds including this race. They've got South Boston they'll be at in 1 week's time, and then another stop before they head to New Hampshire will be the first round of the round of 12. Right now we have less than 2 minutes to go until the field begins gridding up here for the 74 lap race. That's not a lot of laps around here, Smithy. A 100-mile race, it could go quick here if the field stays green.
No, absolutely, and at 30-second laps, the thing is going to tick off awfully quick. I'll tell you what, I used to hate this place. We used to come here, and I would just dread this thing. And one of these things that you can do is kind of get in your own head. I read something, a story about Ricky Craven trying to figure out how to get around here, and he got a little bit of help from David Pearson. Kind of got his head right. I looked at it as a challenge. I tried to do the same thing, and boy, if you can get in a rhythm, if you can get your head right, this place actually turns into a lot of fun.
Smithy, have you won here before? In the Pack Majors race, perhaps?
I did, actually, yeah. That's exactly what I was talking about last summer, the Pack Majors. We did a full-distance race. It was actually the very first race of the dynamic track. So we got a chance to see the rubber laid down for the very first time. You can already see it on screen here now, a little bit of black getting laid down to these corners. These guys have been putting laps down in practice. And, went into it hating it, left obviously loving it a lot, having gotten the win. So, yeah, like I said, this place is a challenge, but you can do it a couple different ways. I was able to do mine on a long run. Hopefully we get some long runs tonight, and this thing is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be quite as long as the race you're in. If I recall correctly, that was 367 laps contested between 16 cars or so. A lot of drivers were a bit hesitant about the dynamic surface, but I'll tell you what, I think it's definitely added a lot to iRacing. And I think the drivers are looking forward to it tonight. They're finishing up their driver's briefing right now. We only have about 10-15 seconds left on the clock, it looks like, before qualifying ends. And they will start to get gridded up. Just one pace lap around here. The track is longer than a mile in length. And then Jeff Ward and Woodrow Mahan will lead the field to green. Jeff Ward once again taking the Savage Spinners Pole Award. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media. We're on YouTube. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel.
Yeah, this one's going to be interesting, especially with some of these big names. You start seeing these guys line up. You see that Days of Thunder scheme there on Jeff Ward out there on pole. Woodrow Mahan on his outside going to lead him away. But we got some really big names in the back. You got guys like, Jake Wright. Jake Wright towards the back end. He's going to be 17th on the grid. Tommy Reinwright with him, quick and quality. Jason Galvin, like I said, some other big names. It's going to be really interesting to see some of these guys, former winners in this series, did not qualify. I'm actually really excited. You're going to start seeing these names trying to cut through the field. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it's kind of two swords here. Or however that expression goes. I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. But on one side, you've got to race the track, not each other, because it's Darlington Raceway. That's just how you race Darlington. On the other side, we've got a lot of fast drivers starting at the back of a field who have got to get the job done in 74 laps. They can't afford to just race the track and not each other, because if they do that, they're going to be at the back all race long.
As you say, double-edged sword, I think you're looking for there. And absolutely. And one thing I will say, if we get a long green flag run here, you can do it on one stop, but two stops is probably what these guys are going to want to do with tire fall off. So we could see some gambling. Do you undercut this thing, go in a little bit short and hope that there's not a yellow that comes out? Flip side, you stay out a little bit longer. Hey, it worked for me. I was able to stay out, almost put the field a lap down, and then a yellow comes out, you get a lucky caution, and now you're the hero instead of the zero.
Waiting for just 4 more cars to grid up. Now you see the driver lined up in 4th place there. That's Paul Pepper in the number 29 machine. He was blinking in and out. That's what happens on iRacing if your connection's a little bit off. Looks like Nick Timms is actually going to be starting from pit road. And pace cars peeling off. So Mark Allen, Calvin Filarski and Tommy Ryan will also be starting from the pits if they start at all. That might not be the end of the world though, Smithy. We do have a big field here. There is a possibility that we could have an early caution where those drivers could get caught up.
Well, they're going to be hoping for an early caution. I mean, they're just playing it safe and they're just playing it real safe. I don't know that you need to start from pit lane. You can kind of fall back towards the end here and it should be okay. But maybe these guys know something I don't. Remember, guys, it's really hot and slick. So maybe they don't relish the idea of a 2x2 start here at the start of this thing.
The other thing we're going to have to keep an eye on is lane choice here. And the significant part about it is being that they don't have any. The leader has to restart on the inside. But with the way the banking works, sometimes that outside line can pay dividends in turns 1 and 2. Will Woodrow Mahan lead at the end of the first lap? We're about to find out, because here they come out of turn 4. Ford Mustang pace car makes a hard left turn. The 89 car, Jeff Ward, has control of the field. He's on the loud pedal early and he's going to pull away. Here we go. We are racing at Darlington Raceway.
Indeed, there he goes and off into turn 1. It is all Jeff Ward. And actually what I was going to throw in there is going down to the inside in the first corner is not such a bad thing. So you drift up in the middle of the corner to the high side, then duck back down. So lane choice here, not as bad as a place like Bristol where you really want to be on the high side. Here, the inside is not so bad. You can already see Jeff Ward leading the field away as they go into turn number 4 for the first time.
Tommy Ryan, Mark Allen and Calvin Filarski have not made an appearance. Meanwhile, battle for second here. Brian Jarzik looking on Woodrow Mahan. And these drivers will be capturing the lap traffic of Nick Timms pretty quick. Nick started from the pits. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. Right now, it shouldn't make much of a difference from Jeff Ward. He's pulling away from the rest of the field.
Well, Jeff Ward is pulling away from the rest of the field, but he's going to come up on that lap car right away. So immediately we're going to have lap traffic play a part. Ward making things happen. Look at Woodrow come off that corner well. A little bit squirrely there, but he is coming off 4 hard. Down to the inside, it takes a look. No, going to stay in second. Getting one more circuit around this thing is still going to be that 89 of Ward, your leader, as they come onto the back straightaway.
Oh, Mahan gets loose, corrects it, slides up. Jarzik takes evasive action, as does Pepper behind him. But we've been seeing that through practice, that the 2-hour practice session they had. cars were getting very loose off of 4, and it almost caused a big one there as Jacek gets a little piece of wall. That'll cost him second back to Mahan.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're slipping and sliding already. Lap 3 for Woodrow up into the wall. He carried it up too much. Goes into the wall in the center. As you can see, these other drivers getting around the 23 or the 29, both getting by. That's another driver in the we got crashed going to the back.
McQuaiston gets in the wall. That's DJ Beverly on the inside.
Look at the runoff though. He's so far down. No yellow flag yet.
Oh, and McQuaiston gets slammed by cars behind, and that'll bring out the yellow flag. I
Looked
think
like
it
that was Beverly.
Dylan Acker. Yeah, McQuaiston got loose and got into the outside wall. The reaction behind is why we saw Travis McQuaiston spin to the inside. But Travis McQuaiston just has a spin to the inside. Let's go back upstairs to... DJ Beverly, rather.
I was real close with Beverly getting back underway. Couldn't tell quite who that was who almost got into him. I think he got away with no... Very, very close.
Yeah, but I mean, the incident up on the racetrack was a big one. Meanwhile, all of the leaders have came into their pits. Jeff Ward is leading them in.
That was a separate incident. Ellison ducking out of the way, and he's got a stationary, almost stationary. Woo! Oh, wow. Big, big moment there. There's more going on in that than we saw. Another driver up in the wall in front of Ellison here. Yeah, Travis McQuaiston in there. He was the one flying in to see who got into him.
Yeah, that was Acker. That was the incident I was mentioning at the time. We didn't quite get it on camera. Maybe we'll see the replay of it here. But this is what brought out the caution, is when McQuaiston gets hit by Dylan Acker and one of them just goes flying because they were trying to avoid him, and eventually it just didn't work out.
It's like they didn't even see him sitting up there. They just came by and clipped him and around they went.
Meanwhile, pit stops have taken place. Trev Ward led the field into the pits and led the field back off. Justin Roden didn't come into the pit, so he will be, unless he decides to come in this time around, and that's what he's going to do. So Jeff Ward will lead the field back to green.
Yeah, Justin, you can see a little bit of damage there on the right front, so if nothing else, he's definitely going to try and get that thing fixed up. Long way to go, guys. So still, long way to go. Only about 4 or 5 green flag laps in there. These guys have got to kind of settle things down. You saw how well Woodrow got off the corners there. That's kind of that byproduct. You push hard, you're able to get some good run, but that's going to have some tire spin. If you push a little bit more, that's exactly what happened, and up in the wall he went.
Well, looks like we're going to be under caution for a little bit here, so we're going to take a quick break. We will be back on the GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Darlington Raceway, where we're finishing up the first caution of the race here. Multi-car incident that took place when DJ Beverly and Travis McQuaiston had the moment coming out of turn 2. Caution wouldn't have flown, but Travis McQuaiston got hit from behind by Dylan Acker, That led to a pretty gnarly incident going on down the back straight. Still with a lot of cars though, still running in one piece behind the Ford Mustang pace car right here. They all just came in for 4 fresh Goodyears, 40 laps of fuel load, so they will all still have to pit one more time. Ford Mustang pace car peels off. Ward has control of the field. He was on the loud pedal early last time. He does it again, and he is pulling away from Brian Yazik.
He's pulling away from Yatsik, and Yatsik doesn't quite have him clear. Yes, he does. I was wondering if he's going to get that inside row clear. He will, but we got 2x2, third on back. Looks like Krahula might take a look. He's that green car, the number 24. Looked like he went to the inside. Took a look at Paul Pepper in the 29. But they're going to go single foul in a hurry here to go down the back straightaway.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers being sensible, racing the track and not each other in the early stages here. If there are more cautions, there's definitely a lot of different strategy cards that could be played that will help drivers from the back move up to the front. We've already seen a bit of that.
Yeah, there's different strategies these guys can play out. There's also different lines. As you can see, a lot of these guys taking similar lines for the first part as they start to diamond things up. They're going to come a little bit towards the double white, come up at the end, and then diamond it back down. Going into turn number 3 and 4, this one's a little bit different, but what's interesting is you can still take different lines. You can see a bit of a higher line as we're right on with Jeff Ryan. He's going to take a look at the high side, try to get a run coming off this corner. Ducks down to the inside, actually holds on to a moment there. A little bit of a wheel spin there from Ryan.
Meanwhile, Brian Yazik is not letting Jeff Ward go up front. Ward may have been the fastest in practice and qualifying, and he may be leading right now, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee he has the fastest long run car. We'll wait and see that in the future. But not too far behind Yazik, Nick Northrop is also racing in 3rd place there. Paul Pepper 4th. You could almost throw a blanket over the top 4. I know it's early on in the run here, but it definitely proves that Ward isn't just going to run away with this, and at least not at this stage.
No, he's not, and for sure, like we were talking about those different lines, we can actually jump on board with Yatsik here in P2. You got to start taking a little bit of a look at just what's so different about the different lines you can take. You're going to watch to see how close these guys get to the wall. Look at him, he's going to try and come down a little bit and get a run as he comes out to the wall. You want to drive it to the wall, not chase it out to the wall if you're doing it right. Ducking down towards the bottom, going to let it come on up here in the middle. As you saw during the lap guide, it's big and important because you want to cut back down, get the run down the back straightaway. And look at how even these two guys are. 2 fastest drivers on course right now as they pull away from everybody else. Going down through 3 and 4, again, slightly different lines, but these guys have got Darlington figured out.
And the second pair do as well. Paul Pepper is up into 3rd place. He's ahead of Nick Northrop. And Nick helped him get that position. Once Paul got alongside him on the front straight, he backed off and let Pepper have a position. And you see that a lot at Darlington. You do not want to be side by side with another car here. Watch, Brian Mellendorf goes under James Kahula. Kahula does the same thing. He realizes, hey, you don't want to be side by side with another car at Darlington. It's just not worth it. If a guy behind you is faster, he gets alongside you, let him by.
Yeah, exactly. You saw those flames come out the side pipes of the 24 car. He was definitely getting off the gas and letting him by. Long way to go. He knows it. The other thing is, if you can ride along, get in rhythm, save your tires, you can play the long game. Woodrow
Mahan placed into the wall by Brian Hubble, and that's causing a stack up behind all of them between Nick Timms. They're 3 wide coming off the exit. Joe Hassett backs out of it. That was smart. Otherwise, they could have really wadded up there. But that all started with Brian Hubble. He's got a lot of damage in on his number 20 machine. I don't entirely know how he got it, but he's still running in the top 10.
Yeah, Sam, they were 3 wide and on the apron. And that's a little bit easier to do around here. Even though the track is so wide, you're only using about 1 cart width of it, or car width of it, so you get everybody else down to the apron, spread out in a big hurry. Not a lot of grip there. You see the 20 once again getting sideways. Woodrow going to take advantage.
Yeah, I think Hubble, he realises he's got damage on his car. He just needs to survive at this stage. He's now back down to 12th place. Nick Timms behind him in 13th there. Nick not doing too bad after starting from the pits.
Speaking of the pits, it's been about 10 laps, believe it or not, since we were down pit road. These guys are ticking them off pretty quick. Up the inside goes the driver there. And on screen right now, you got Jake Wright, who's made things up quite nicely. Started 17th. So you can see on screen, they're up 8 spots. He's knocking on the door of Jeff Ryan. Remember, Jeff Ryan just on the outside of making things happen on points. Ryan's looking to try to make things happen, get back inside. Well, he's trying to beat the one and only Big Joe Hassert. Right now, he is doing that. So right now, Ryan back inside the chase because of his spot. He's trying to beat Joe. He's working right now here in 8th spot.
Brian Hubble is still struggling. There was another, almost an incident on the back straight last time, and in fact this time Randy Yoakum, unrelated, got a piece of a wall coming off of turn 2. And saw Woodrow Mahan was all the way down towards the inside wall on the back straight, just trying to avoid the Brian Hubble last time by. Hubble really just trying to hold on to that thing right now. He's got a huge pack of cars coming up behind him. This could get interesting here coming off of 2.
Yeah, it does seem like the 20 is just having a hard time. Look at the 42 getting a run. The 20, big moment again. It looks to me like he's having a little bit of a issue with that line. I think he's a little shallow in the center. Oh, in the inside. Joe Hassler getting the back end of the 20 there for a moment. I don't think he was ready for the 20 to check. That could have been a lot worse. Joe going to try to find his way by. He doesn't need that to happen. Trying to get his way back inside the chase right now as he looks for the inside. Patience. There, he's going to try to make it happen here on exit.
Yeah, this is where Hubble struggles though. Off of turn 4 he's okay. It's off of turn 2 he gets the wall again. Oh, and this time he's going to crack Randy Yoakum. How did the rest of the field make it by?
Oh man, did you guys see the yellow and blue car of Yoakum? We have got to get a replay of that. What a job getting that thing pointed back the right way. Awesome. You can see the 20. He's been having issues sliding back there. Gets right in front of Joe. And he just does not get it cut down in the second half of this corner. It's going to get up into that wall. So there it is. And Yoakum nowhere to go. It clink. And look at this. Look at this beautiful job. Whoop, whoop. Nothing. Nice job, Yoakum.
Well, I think we're about to see everyone on pit road for tyres again. It won't be able to get them to the end on fuel, but after about a 10 to 15 lap run, well, they were in after 5 laps early on, and Brian Hubble has apologised for the contact with Randy Yoakum. They will both be able to continue on their way, is the good news from that.
Man, this could have been so much worse. You can see it on screen. There is some damage in the back end of Yoakum's. Hopefully we can get most of that fixed as it goes down pit road. We do have our leaders going down pit road right now. And as you say, Sam, I would imagine just about everybody going to take a trip right now. As you see, everybody stacking up. They want to try and make this as fast as possible. Track position is big. I got to imagine everybody's going with 4 tires, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe there'll be a couple drivers at the back who try taking 2 to get a bit of track position. I wouldn't recommend it though. Ward leads Jarzik in, Pepper in 3rd. Let's see how they come off.
They get in smoothly. Doesn't look like anybody makes any mistakes. That 07 coming in late. Woodrow, remember he started P2. It's been a long road so far. Everybody looks like they're going up second time. Some quick stops in the back. Nope, it's going to be Ward, and then the 23 is going to get him off, it looks like.
Nice pit stop by Nick Northrup. And he will restart second. When we go back to the green, we will have it here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Darlington Raceway. Lights off on the pace car. 50 laps to go. Everyone came down pit road. They can all make it on one more stop. Well, they could have all made it on one more stop from the start, Smithy, but now that actually seems more realistic here.
No, it does, and I'll tell you what, I do a bit of spotting for the Peak Free Series. Basically what you do at this point, you cut this thing in half. Our window's going to be looking about 25 laps if we go green right now. If we go green right now all the way to the end, it's 25 laps, cut it in half. Be curious to see if anybody undercuts. That's going to be the strategy if these guys are doing a little bit of math in their heads.
And the field is about to come through turns 3 and 4. All of the drivers took 4 tyres. It was just a quick stop from Nick Northrup that has got him up into second place. Jeff Ward will lead the field back to green. He has done that every single time tonight. And the green flag is about to fly, and here we go. Ward leading them off of turn 4. He doesn't get as much of a launch as he has in the past, though, Smithy.
No, these guys are a lot closer this time around than they were before. I don't think they want to let him get away. But how about Brian Yacek back to 4th? We saw him right up to in second before. He's going to do a little bit of work because he's got Northrop and Pepper. Pepper up to 3rd right now. Oh, we got a spinner. That is Krahula. Krahula and Ryan. More spinners. Looks like Dago's going around. Ryan, he's one of your guys right on the outside of the chase. That is big for him.
Absolutely. The good news is it looks like none of the drivers involved in that got too much damage.
Now what happened? Oh, it looked like Krahula just got in the wall himself. A little bit off speed. And, oh, it looks like Ryan just scooted up the track a little bit and got into the side of Krahula. Krahula was a little bit off the wall there, and Ryan was scooting up a little bit, and just a fight for real estate. I don't think Daigle hit anything. I think he just lost to trying to miss him. Speaking of trying to miss him, those last 2 cars there on the high side, couldn't tell who that was.
May have been Woodrow. Oh no, that's Woodrow Mahan going by on the bottom there. But I think you're right about Pierre Daigle. He just locked the rear brakes.
We mentioned Ryan is on the outside of the chase. Well, Daigle's trying to do it on points as well. He can't have too bad of a run. He's trying to make things happen on points, although a little bit more cushion. So things are all good for him. He cuts. Oh, wow. Atta boy, Pierre. Oh, wow. Check the shorts on Pierre Daigle, guys, because that was a moment. And there he goes. He's changing them right now.
Yeah, some of the drivers toward the back of the field coming in for tyres and new sets of underwear. The drivers, though, who were up front, stay out. We'd only had a lap back under green there.
Is it me, Sam, or we seen a little bit of damage on Paul Pepper's machine there? 3rd in line, that white hood. That thing looks a little crinkled.
It does. I don't entirely recall how. Yeah, I don't entirely recall how he got there. I do know he's been having some connection issues, so that could have potentially contributed to something.
Yeah, let's hope it's just one of those fancy dancy glitch programs where it's just psyching out your opponents, thinking you don't have a good car. Because he raced on that start. He raced up into that spot. I have a hard time thinking he's that beat up and still running 3rd.
Well, the good news for Paul Pepper is he is one of the drivers in the top 20 in points who has a win this season. He got that at Daytona, a far different track from Darlington. They're similar in that they have 4 turns and they begin with the letter D.
That's about where the similarities end, though, doesn't it?
They go to the left. They have asphalt. This is an asphalt track, right? It's one of the tricky. Whenever I think of concrete tracks, are usually the tricky ones, Bristol and Dover. Darlington you'd usually rank as probably one of the trickier ovals, despite the fact that it's asphalt. Can you even imagine this place on concrete?
I would like not to. Yeah, this place is already tough, and again, just a reminder for people just joining us, these guys are doing it in hot conditions. See these cars sliding all over the place. 125 track temp, it's a little bit slicker for them. Already a slick track as it is. She's a little bit. You start sliding around. She's old. She's been worn out, but she can be pretty quick. You're going to this corner. It's not slow at all.
Something we were beginning to touch on with Brian Hubble before he had his incident that brought out our second of the 3 cautions so far is the fact that even though he had damage on his car that had loosened him up a lot, he could still get through turns 3 and 4 okay. He couldn't get through turns 1 and 2 okay. It's very difficult to have a setup here, Smithy, that handles well in both turns. Usually if you've got to have a perfect one in one turn and sacrifice a little in the other. The problem is the drivers don't have any control over that for this race because it's all a fixed setup.
Hey, maybe I'll be a fixed setup, but the good news is you got a right foot, a left foot, 2 pedals, and a steering wheel. So you still got a lot of tools at your disposal. And then what's fun about this place? Driver means a ton. If you can get up to the sharp end and drive this thing nice, you can do whatever you want. You get some clean air, you're in good shape. And you watch what these guys do, and you can see a big difference between those that know how to get around it and those guys going through the motions.
Alright, finishing up our 3rd caution here. Jeff Ward about to lead Nick Northrup back to the green. Brian Jarzik, meanwhile in 4th place, has been blinking in and out under this caution. Hopefully that'll stop soon. Here we go. Ford Mustang pace car is off, and Ward is back on the loud pedal again early this time, and I think he needs to keep doing that. He gets much better restarts when that happens, Smithy.
Yes, indeed he does, but from 3rd on back, you can see it's 2 by 2. Yatsik on the outside. Is he going to be able to get Pepper clear? Yes. This time it's going to be Yatsik in 3rd, Pepper back to 4th. As they go further on back, it's going to be looking like Mellendorf and Thames trying to get things done back there. But up in the front, Jeff Ward leading them away.
May have seen the car coming out of turn 2 there get all out of shape. That was Justin Bowden. He was in 11th place. He's not anymore. He's down to 20th.
Yeah, these guys need to get back in line and just start cutting off some laps. There's 44 laps to go, but these are going to go away in a hurry if they can stay green, and they all got one more stop to make to try to make this thing on fuel.
And you've almost got to wonder, Smithy, even if a caution came out now with a 40-lap fuel window, would they all come in just to make it to the end if the next caution was the last caution?
We get about 40 laps in the game, and that's where the gambling's going to start. You can make it on fuel, but your tires are going to be awfully old. The thing is, on fresh tires, can you eat that time back up in the green? Highly doubtful. You could give it a go, but it's going to be tough. Side by side further back, couple guys in the wall, and we got a wreck.
And one car upside down, that is Dylan Ackart. But that happened. I mean, there were 2 side-by-side battles in front of him, and I think that may have caused the action that happened towards the back there. The good news is no blown engines. The bad news is a lot of dinged up fenders.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when you ding up your roof, you've been on the wrong end of the circuit, on the wrong end of the car. Looks like the 90 started it, and you know what, a little bit of fall leader is you saw the 00 there on the bottom. People were maybe trying to take a high side and just aiming for the same piece of real estate. Several drivers involved there. You see Beverly coming in there late. Ryan sliding in there, that's his 2nd one of the day. Maybe not as bad this time.
Well, watch out IndyCar drivers, because pit road's about to get very busy.
You're right on board with Ryan here. He's going to slide in here late. He doesn't need to see anything's going. Look at it, the thing's pretty clean. It's pretty clean so far. That car's not looking too bad. Hopefully we get through this thing. It looks the same way. Things are going to start happening up front. As they start cutting in, he's going to try to get down low, but yep, a little bit of a ding. Not too bad for Jeff Ryan. He's still got something to play with there. Go get him, Jeff.
Here we go, back to live action. Jeff Ward, the leading, a different Jeff, leading the field into the pits. He stopped, and he does overshoot his pit stall. That is going to cost Jeff Ward time. It's probably going to cost him the lead for the first time this race.
We'll see if anybody else, they get away pretty quick. They're coming at the line. It's going to be close. I think he's still got it.
Yeah, he's still got it. Paul Pepper there in 2nd in the 29.
Tell you what, that's the advantage of being that first box, man. You just jump on loud pedal and cross your fingers. You don't really have to worry about the speed too much. Lucky break there for Jeff, but he was testing the old spirits a little bit.
Meanwhile, we've had some cars who haven't pit. This is a bizarre strategy, because the last time they were in the pits was about 10 laps ago. Unless, oh no, wait, these are drivers who were at the tail end of a field who pitted under the last caution, which was only about, well, 5 to 10 laps ago still. This is a bit of a gamble here, Smithy.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to do a couple of different things. Look at the names, though. Thames and, or Times and Mahan. A couple of guys that know what's going on. They've been up front. So that's not the worst thing on the planet. Those guys know what's going on, but I think this is the strategy they're thinking. They're thinking 40 laps to go. Yeah, you can make it on fuel, but tires aren't going to be so good. So they're banking on everybody pitting one more time, or there being another caution in the middle of this thing. That could be a great strategy here for these top two guys.
What do you think here, Smithy? As I think we're working our 2 laps under caution. Jeff Ward restarting in 4th place. It's the first time he's had to deal with traffic this race. Will he be able to get up front quickly? Should he even think about that? Should he kind of just let the first few laps settle down and then pick them off one at a time once they get back into rhythm?
That's a good question. I'll say I talked to a guy who finished 2nd at the Pacific Majors Bristol's race last night, and he said that when he started actually being a little more aggressive, or at least trying to control his destiny instead of just kind of hanging out, he did better. He felt like he was controlling what was going to happen instead of waiting around and seeing what would happen. So with that thought process, I think Jeff Ward's got to hit the right foot and go. Don't wait for it to come to him.
Yeah, the Pac Majors race at Bristol last night was 500 laps long and saw 33 cautions. Currently this race we're at 4, so I don't think we're going to get that many, but we'll wait and see. Well, honestly, it's been a pretty clean race so far, Smithy. All of these incidents, although granted we've seen a couple of cars go upside down, none of them have really taken out more than 2 or 3 cars. I mean, we've had some more than that involved, but nothing more than dint fenders for most of them.
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad. Unfortunately, someone's always gotten collected on, at the end of the day, what usually is a mistake or a little bit of a difference of opinion on real estate. I'll tell you, as we come around here, one thing we gotta take a look at, they're not really old tires, but they're older than what the other guys have. 07, 54, your front row, a little bit older tires. Just watch out for wheel spins as we come around here for 3 and 4 on a restart.
Ford Mustang pace car makes a hard left turn. Timms has control of the field and he is on the gas early. Woodrow Mahan got caught sleeping. The problem for Jeff Ward is he's the one stuck behind Mahan. He is still back here in 4th place.
He's still back there in 4th, and he's actually going to duck to the inside of Mahan right away. He's going to try to go for 2. Fresh tires for the win. There he goes to 2nd. Big move from Ward, just a little bit sideways.
Well, he could have, if he'd overcorrected there, that would have got ugly. Ricky Monzo also dropping back. He's at number 90 machine.
Who's not dropping back is the 55, also fresh tires. Yasik's trying to make things happen. He saw Ward get by. He can't let him go. Almost a 3-wide situation into 1. Gentlemen, not a good idea. They think better of it. They're going to slot back in. We're going to see single file. That 90 is all over the place. Those old tires not working him very good right now.
Brian Mellendorf is the next driver. We'll try and make a move on him. Here he goes down the back straight on the low side. And Monzo backs off, yields the position. Jake Wright right behind him. Jeff Ryan still hanging strong in the top 10 despite being involved in an incident not too long ago.
Yeah, and props to Jeff Ryan. He's actually in front of the guy he needs to beat, which is Joe Hassard. That's going to put him back in the game, back in the chase. The 88 trying to beat the 1 today. Those are the 2 guys for the chase we're looking for, but right now we're looking for the lead. Is that a block or a let by? I can't quite tell, but it's going to be a new leader, Jeff Ward. It looks like Timms does let him by. Smart move by him. Nick Timms now back to 2nd. Here comes Yasik for 3rd.
Now Jeff Ward needs to try and pull out while the Timms are still there in 2nd place. Maybe Timms will hold up Yasik for him, because there's really nowhere Timms can pull out of a way for Yasik in turns 1 and 2. If he's as generous as he was last lap, he'll just let Yasik by here on the back straight, and indeed I think that's what's going to happen. But now look, Ward has gotten a pretty significant lead over Yasik.
Pretty significant lead, but remember, if this thing does stay green, it's going to be a long haul. Got to make sure you've got good tires to the end. And I want to point out, it might have been a slow start for the 07, but he's hanging tough. He's got Paul Pepper looking to the inside right now. Pepper did come into the pits, did get tires. But off the turn number 2, it's still going to be the 07 Mahan. Pepper's going to take another look. Back to the inside of Pepper. Look at that. We are having big moves. That is Nick Northrup trying to make things happen. Remember, we saw him leading earlier, side by side through 3 and 4. Coming off of 4, side by side still. Pepper on the outside. Come on, buddy.
Yeah, Pepper holds on to that position ahead of Nick Northrup. Now, let's not forget, not only is Mahan on all tyres here, he's also in the beat-up car a bit. He's one of the drivers who has got a Darlington stripe tonight, as has Paul Pepper. Actually, I think Pepper's gotten a little bit more than the stripe, and Mahan may have too, but they're holding on strong in the top 5 right now in front of them. Ward, Yazik and Timms.
A lot of hard racing right out of the gate there, but things are starting to settle down. 32 laps to go. You see the sparks flying as Pepper finds a little bit more wall. He wants to really make sure he's using up all the track. Going to try and dig back up there and get to Mahan. Mahan putting pressure on Timms now for 3rd place. Remember those 2 guys, older tires. It looks like it's going to be advantage Peppers that come off the corner. On the high side is Pepper. Timms going to slot back one more. It's Mahan and the 07 Jack Daniels machine picking up the 3rd spot.
On old tyres, making moves to get back up to 3rd place. Meanwhile, on new tyres, Brian Yazik, I think, was really loose coming out of turn 2 last time by. That cost him a bit of time to Ward. Fortunately for him, he's still far ahead of Mahan.
Well, indeed, you got the 2 guys who, like we said earlier, really got this place figured out. Ward and Yazik seem to be the class of the field right now. This guy's pulling away. A little bit further back, you got eyes on right now with Mellendorf as the 41, the Oreo machine, the next one to try to get things up there with Nick Timms. Right behind him, maybe another one of those fast drivers kind of riding under the radar, Jake Wright. Jake Wright, the 27, multi-time winner already this year, trying to find himself inside the top 5. Right now, just on the outside, Mellendorf and Wright both locked in the chase, so it's all about finding W's for the rest of the season.
Yeah, surprising to see Drake Wright back there, but he's one of the drivers who, if you saw his car upside down and on fire, you would want your car to be like that too, so you could copy his strategy. I have a feeling we haven't seen all from him yet, despite the fact that I am surprised he's still back there in 8th.
Well, he may be back there in 8th, and Mellendorf might only be 1 spot in front of him, but remember, those guys did not qualify, so credit where credit's due. Those guys making things happen without getting a queue time. Where we're looking right now, though, at Nick Northrup, he's 5th, and look at this, right on the back bumper of Pepper, who's right on the back bumper of the 07. Up the inside, Pepper's going to try to find another spot. Remember, the 07, did not have any tires on this last stop, but he's still holding tough on the outside. The 07, Woodrow Mahan, does not want to roll over and die. He wants to hold on to that spot. He knows if he gets a yellow, he actually is back in the game with these guys.
Yeah, these 3, though, are not cooperating. They're racing side by side like that. They're holding each other up, and that's just going to help the pack of Mellendorf, Timms, and Wright run them down, which will be good for us. We'll get to see a 6-car pack racing for position. You almost got to start wondering, Smitty, if some drivers are running up front will risk it and short pit around now.
I'll tell you who's probably not going to short pit. And how about that? Number P2 is going to be 55, Brian Yazik. Now down to about 3/10, closing in on our leader, Jeff Ward. Jeff Ward, he's been the class of the field, except for one man, Brian Yazik, been able to stay with him the whole time. These guys, class of the field, making things happen.
Mahan got in the wall, Northrup had to back off, and Mahan goes all the way down to the apron to get out of the way of the cars coming fast behind him. Northrup lost a lot of time and as a result lost a position to Mellendorf. Mahan's going to take advantage of the situation and come into the pits and be the first driver to pit and not have to pit again. In other words, make his final stop here. Now, Pepper kind of just ducked the low of this whole ordeal and he held on to 3rd.
As you say, take advantage. I'd say making lemonade out of lemons there. Mahan definitely doesn't want to just come in on those things. But if you're going to go down there, you might as well make a stop. Now, the question is, does he do something crazy and go right sides only or left sides only? Something nutso? Who knows? I got a feeling the battle right now to watch is the one on screen. Brian Yazik now, even closer. We're going to have a fight for the lead before we have a fight for the win here. And we know we're going to probably have one more stop. These guys putting on a show for us.
Yeah, I almost wonder if Yazik ends up feeling like he's getting held up by Ward, will he just come into the pits?
He may. That's a good strategy. That undercut, you get him by 1 lap. But again, if the yellow comes out, and this race has been prone to that a little bit, does that burn you? So I think staying out could be the wise strategy, especially with how much pace these guys have. Oh, into the wall is our leader. Ward into the wall. It's going to be an easy pass for Jacek. No, or is it? Here comes Ward fighting back. He's on the outside. We're going to have a fight to the line.
Well, it's the second time we've seen Ward make a mistake today. He did one on pit road. He just did one off of turn 2. But in both cases, he's been able to hold on to the top spot.
I'll tell you what, man, though, the one thing that did happen there is he dinged up that 89. He dinged that up a little bit. Just think right there. That's going to be unfortunate for him. And a clean car is still what the 55 has. He didn't fight him too hard. Still a long way to go. Very, very close call there. Could have been worse. But how about Jeff Ward coming back and taking the lead right back out of 3 and 4? Well done.
Drake Wright, meanwhile, just made a move ahead of Nick Timms. That puts him in 6th place. He was in 8th. He obviously got 7th when Woodrow Mahan had his moment, and now he just took 6th. Keeping half an eye on him.
Him and Mellendorf. Mellendorf in 5th. Remember, those two guys were the ones trying to come up.
Ward is letting Jacek by. I don't know why that happened, because he didn't get a bad exit off of turn 2. In fact, is he coming into the pits? That's why. And I think he completely missed the cone there. Will that count?
I'm not sure what the sim will say about that, if it's going to be an unsafe entry or not. I find that sim is pretty nasty on entry. Doesn't like the exit so much, but still he gets down to the right speed. Jeff Ward first to blink. Let's see what happens. What's the strategy going to be from Jacek? Is he try to stay out and wish for the caution, or does he come right back in?
Yeah, I just thought that was a bizarre pit entry still by Ward.
And this
Almost
time
like
he
a late
is not
decision.
going to go deep. He's going to get a good stop. Right side's coming up. A little bit of damage getting fixed right now. Left sides. Left sides. No, maybe damage. To our director's point, pointing out that he does have some damage. I don't see the left sides coming up, so maybe it's the damage that was too much. Turning point in the race right now. New leader, Brian Jacek, and I'll tell you, nobody close to him.
Huge battle for second. Nick Northrup running side by side puts Paul Pepper in the wall.
Jake Wright right there with him. We're actually going to pick one more off too as they go down to turn number 1. The 2.7 inside of the 2.9. No, he's going to back off. The 2.9 holds on to it. Pepper, he's a little shallow here for the last part. Let's see if 27 come back.
Several laps ago, Nick Northrup typed just ... in the chat when he had been battling Paul Pepper. I don't think we've had the last between those two. I think something's going on there.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of contact side to side there. Nick gave a little bit in the middle and gave a little bit on the exit. Paul Pepper able to keep it going in the right direction, but yeah, as you say, might have a lot more to say here. Paul Pepper in the 29, keeping it going. Northrup with a fresher tire, excuse me, the same tires with those guys. I think they got to worry about the 2.7 a little bit more than that, but out behind him, Paul Pepper, he's going to come under fire with Nick Timms. Nick Timms going to get around him. Remember, Nick has got older tires than Pepper, so maybe damage on Pepper is going to hold him back a little bit here after that hitting the wall.
Watching a couple more battles go on at the tail end of the top 10. Pierre Daigle and James Kahula currently running side by side. They've both been in a bit of action tonight. Randy Yoakum and Joe Hasser also running quite close on track. We've only got 16 laps to go, and all of these drivers still have to make a stop.
Well, remember, they don't have to make a stop. They should be able to make it on fuel. The question is, are they going to say, whoa, big to the inside. Joe Hasser has an issue back there. He's able to gather it up. Looked like another driver did the same. Big moment for the number 1. He's able to continue going in the right direction. There's Woodrow Mahan right behind him. Remember, Mahan, he made the stop, so he's got fresh tires. He's going to blitz on by. Mahan not for position. Fresher tires.
I'm not convinced they can all make it to the end on fuel, Smithy. I think they're right on the edge, but honestly, if they keep racing like that, we'll have another caution that'll bring them all in anyways. Meanwhile, yeah, here goes Drake Wright. He's moving up by Nick Northrup for second. Eventually he will.
Well, I'll tell you what Wright's been doing is he hasn't been fighting drivers. He's just been picking them off as he can. You see the line is nice and smooth. That's what's got him here in a position. He's not been fighting. These guys just been kind of nice and smooth. As it comes, it comes. And he goes to the high side here. He's going to let it roll out. get a good drive coming off. He's going to try and make it happen on the front straightaway if he can. If not, he'll roll around one more time. Meanwhile, out front, Brian Yasik, well and gone. 5.4 seconds in front is your leader. The 55, remember his number one guy he was fighting was Jeff Ward. Ward has made his pit. Jeff Ward is one lap down, slicing through the field. Issues there right in front of Jake Wright before he switched to Ward there. Ward clean air and cutting fast laps right now. He needs this thing to stay green and have it come back to him.
Tight pack from 8th to 11th still. James Kahula, Pierre Daigle, Joe Hasser and Dom Runkle Jr. all racing nose to tail pretty much. Bumper to bumper, I guess you say in NASCAR.
We had a small moment from our leader there. I want to see if he's going to come down pit road. No, he's going to stick out. I'm just trying to keep an eye on these lap times. The lap times, big difference. You got Brian Yasik. His last time across, I'll actually wait for him to get across right here. See his last time, 31.2. 31.2 for him. But we know Jeff Ward already made a stop, 30.1. A second a lap, and Jeff Ward is in traffic. So if this thing stays green, Jeff Ward could be coming in a hurry. But look at the laps tick off. We've only got about 10 laps to go.
Yeah, but Ward had a long stop, it looked like, due to damage repair. He didn't get a penalty for the way he entered the pit road. He just did a really good job of getting down there quite quickly, unless he was in his pit stall extra for a time penalty. That might explain why he was there a few seconds extra.
It could have indeed. That's actually something we didn't think about there. Back on screen here with Jake Wright. He's in third. He's trying to make things happen on Nick Northrup. Nick Northrup here in the 2-3. Northrup had a pretty good qualifying P5. Jake Wright did not qualify P3. It's worked out pretty good for him. Remember, Wright, multi-time winner. Northrup, not somebody we talk about in the series because he doesn't run the series all the time. So great run for Nick right now.
The battle around 10th place has been continuing, and now we get proof that they cannot make it to the end. Nick Timms is coming into the pits. Granted, that may not be proof. Did he pit 2 cautions ago or just 1? I think he pitted last 2 cautions ago. Yeah, because he led the field back to green on the last restart. So we know that he and the other 2 drivers who stayed out on that caution, Woodrow Mahan, and I honestly can't recall the other driver right now, can't make it to the end on fuel.
Right now, your leader, Brian Yasik, he's starting to lose a little bit to the guys behind him. He was up to 5.5 seconds. He's having a little bit more issue now as he just gets by Jeff Ryan there. A little bit slower as of late. He's like 4.5 seconds up. He was 5.5. Those tires are getting old.
Yeah, I think it was Ricky Monzo was the other driver who didn't pit under the last caution.
I'll tell you what, I think Yasik's going to go with the latter on the strategy. He's going to try and stay out. Look at Monzo, though. Ducking to the inside, trying to find a little bit of action on this next corner. Turn 3, can he make something happen?
Well, he's made his stop. That's why he's so much faster there, because he's going by Nick Northrup, currently running in 3rd place. So that's a demonstration now of how much new tyres are worth.
Exactly. Yeah, he can basically put it wherever he wants. But as you see on screen right now, Yasik, about 5.5 laps to go.
What's wrong with Randy Yoakum? He's very slow on the back straight. His car is not pointing in the right direction, really. It's crabbing a little bit. I have a feeling he was involved in an incident just now in turns 1 and 2.
Well, the rear end of the car doesn't look like it's perfectly straight. Yo, there, we just cut the very, very beginning of it. It's like him and the 2-4 maybe got contact. So we come around one more time. Let's see what we can find. Yoakum out front. Going to the corner a little bit too fast as the 8. And just didn't quite pick out where he was going to go. A little bit of help from the 2-4. Around he goes. But everybody continues on. Too bad for Yoakum.
Well, all of a sudden, we're within 5 laps to go. A caution would end this. And no one seems to be making... Oh, Nick Northrup comes into the pits.
I'll be honest, unless you can't make it on fuel, I don't know why you would come in right now. So fuel has got to be an issue with these guys.
And it's not like Jarzik can afford to save fuel. He's only 2 seconds ahead of Wright. Meanwhile, Jeff Ryan just got the wall out of turn 2. Now, of course, if a caution did come out to the end, all of the leaders could put in 4th gear and rev it around with the clutch pushed in.
But to your point, Sam, maybe that is why he's losing all that time. Remember, he was 5.5 seconds up, and now he's only 1.5 seconds up. The lap time's going away on the 5.5. Maybe he's doing just that, saving fuel, trying to get all the way to the end. Right, not doing that. Maybe he's going to the other strategy. He's trying to make it to the end and hope for a caution to finish this thing off.
And maybe this explains why we weren't seeing Jake Wright move through the field at the start of a run. Maybe he was saving fuel at the start of a run so he could be aggressive now, and it might pay off. That's not him behind Jarzik there, that's Ricky Monzo a lap down, and that's because Monzo's on newer tyres. He was forced to make a pit stop. 2 to go.
31.4, last time by for your leader, Brian Jarzik. You see him there, the blue and yellow car behind him is the guy he's racing, that's Jake Wright. 31.0, 4/10 of a second last time. We're coming for the white flag, this time by Brian Jarzik in the 55 versus the 27, Jake Wright. 1 lap to go.
Ricky Monzo gets down on the apron. He's not going to interfere with these 2 leaders. Alright, it's a white flag, turns 1 and 2. If Brian Jarzik has enough fuel, he should win the race. But does he have enough fuel? He comes out of turn 2, he's accelerating, he's picking up speed on down the back straight. But there's still 1 more turn to go. Here they go through turns 3 and 4. Jarzik's got the distance. Does he have the gas? It looks like it. He accelerates out of 4, crosses the line. Brian Jarzik wins in Darlington.
What an exciting finish. We weren't sure how it was going to end up. We ended up seeing strategy, like we talked about at the beginning, play out. Brian Jarzik comes out on top after the longest green flag of the night. The 5.5, that's 2 wins in a row here on GSRC and the Grand National Group. Well done, 5.5.
Solid performance here today by Jarzik. If I recall, his first win of the season wasn't many rounds ago. He's definitely been coming alive as this year has gone on. We're sure he's going to burn it down for the fans here on the front straight. We're going to take a quick break. We will be back with a full race rundown as well as drive interviews here as Brian Jarzik lights up the tyres on the number 55 Ford Mustang there on the front straight. We'll be back here on the GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Darlington Raceway, where we just witnessed 74 laps of racing action here. We thought it was going to turn into a fuel mileage race at the end. If that was the case for the drivers, they didn't seem to be showing it. And at the end of the day, as we see our advocate through the top 10 of the field here, we have Brian Jarzik leading the field home when the checkered flag flew. Jake Wright rallied really well in the closing stages there to go from 8th to 2nd, and in fact he started all the way at the back of the field, didn't even qualify, he started 17th. Paul Pepper got only second top 5 finish of the season there in 3rd place. His other one was his win at Daytona. Troy Haight, didn't really mention him all night long, but he came home with a solid 4th place finish ahead of James Kahula, who was involved in a couple of shenanigans throughout the race, but pulled off a solid top 5. Joe Hassett there, big points day for him. He's trying to keep inside the 3 cars who will get into the chase without a win right now, and he does the right thing about that by getting a 6th place finish. Dom Runkle Jr. meanwhile came home with a 7th place finish, and then Pierre Daigle rounded out the cars on the lead lap in 8th place. Brian Mellendorf and Randy Yoakum rounded out the top 10. They were our first 2 cars, 1 lap down. Those were your Advocare top 10 finishers there. Smitty?
After that, you got a few drivers we saw at the sharp end. They were trying to make things happen on strategy, banking on possibly another caution. Didn't go for him. Nick Northrup there, we saw him pit with 5 laps to go. He was 2nd at the time. Nick Northrup gets 11th on the day. Woodrow Mahan qualified 2nd, finishes 12th. Again, another driver hoping for that thing to go a little bit different. Nick Timms, he was also at the sharp end, 13th overall on the day. Jeff Ward, possibly the only guy who had something besides maybe Wright and Yatsik there for the win. He gets 14th after a strategy misstep. Ricky Monzo saw him a little bit of action there at the end, 15th. Jason Galvin, after basically no time, gets 16th at the end. Jeff Ryan, an eventful day, also gets caught out by a strategy, finishes back in 17th. He's going to get a little bit more here in the last 2 races to get inside the chase. Benny Ellison in 18th, and then the guys who did not get to the end pretty far back. Jonathan Lawrence in 19th with 29 laps back. Justin Rodden in 20th, 31 laps back. Sam?
Yeah, also other drivers who had trouble were Dylan Eckhart, who I believe was upside down at one point, Norman Pelletier, Brian Hubel, as well as DJ Beverly. Travis McCreaston rounds out the top 25. The other 3 drivers you saw there did not start the race. Those are the drivers who may not want to remember tonight. Let's talk to the drivers who do, beginning with our 3rd place finisher, Paul Pepper. Paul, your 2nd top 5 finish of the season. A solid job there to come home in 3rd place.
Yeah, it was a decent run for us. We had a car that could have competed for a win there with Brian, and I know he was fast and Jake, but not a bad effort for sure. That's a tricky track. It was slick tonight, and you could barely get back to the throttle anywhere. But yeah, we'll take the 3rd place. We're starting to run better now in the trucks and this Xfinity car, so we'll take it and move on.
Yeah, your car came home with a few scratches, some of which happened early in the race and some happened towards the end there with your battles in the top 5. You want to tell us how those came about?
Yeah, the ones earlier, just typical Darlington, man. If you don't have a couple scratches on the right side of that car, you're not going fast enough. So, but near the end there, it was just frustrating with the 23 ran me down the back and got into me down the back stretch. And the next lap used me up in turn 3, it seemed. I mean, if you're going for the win, that's fine. But I mean, especially if he knew he was going to have to pit, it's kind of frustrating. But still come home in 3rd. Want to thank Dietrich Gold, my sponsor, all the guys back in Canada, Jason Calgary, Martin Hache, Mario Saint Aubin, tuning in. Tommy and Jeff Ryan, especially this week. We ran a lot of practice laps at Darlington here, and it was a big help. And just PRL, of course, putting on these races, and you guys for these awesome broadcasts you guys do. It was cool to run that Mark Martin scheme and come home with a top 3 at least.
How close were you specifically, and also the other drivers that you're hearing over the chat? How close was fuel at the end there?
For me, I was good. I don't know about the other guys. Last 5 laps, I kind of just turned the chat off. In practice, I ran a fuel run and knew I could do 40 laps and still have half a tank. And then when that caution flew, I think with 42 to go or so, I knew we were right in our window. So when we came out of the pits, I just started shutting the engine off and saving fuel. And I think I could have went another 2 laps or so. I was good. So. Pays off. I know everybody likes to turn those fast laps in practice, but it pays off to do those fuel runs and tire runs, just see what you're going to have, and you can get your strategy going from there.
All right, well, that is your second top 5 finish in the last several races after your win at Daytona. You really seem to be coming on towards the end of the season here. Do you think we'll see more of that in the coming races? You guys will be going to South Boston, I believe, next week.
I hope so. It's taken me a while to figure these cars out, all the trucks, this car, and the Cup car. I just started racing this iRacing back in February. I was an NR 2003 guy, so they drive completely different. So hopefully, I've had a lot of help from my teammates, DJ and Jeff and Ryan and Tommy and James and Ricky and all those guys. I've had a lot of help from them on how to drive these things. So hopefully we keep trending upwards. We're only running half the schedule for all the series because of my work schedule being here for a week and gone for a week. But we'll try and finish the season strong with top 5s and maybe competing for some wins here.
Well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Paul, and we wish you the best of luck in the upcoming races.
Thanks a lot, guys.
So that was our 3rd place finisher, Paul Pepper. Let's go one step up the podium where Smitty has called up with Drake Wright.
Yes, indeed I have. And Jake Wright, we've been talking to a lot of times this year, and this time it's going to be 2nd place, not a W, but Jake, it's still another great finish. You were one of the few guys, well, I should say about the 10 drivers or so, who decided not to qualify. Was that all part of the game plan, or did you just not get a good lap in?
It was part of the game plan. For this race, I wasn't able to get as many practice laps in as I would have liked to, so I figured starting in the back would be the safe option, so I wouldn't be a complete danger to everybody and try to stay out of everybody's way. But very satisfied with tonight's finish after starting where I did. I think if we had maybe a lap or 2 more, I might have had something for Brian, but he's amazing in this league, and this track's just extremely difficult to get around, but extremely happy with the finish.
3 wins to your name. That's 2nd in the total for everything going into the chase. You still got 2 more races for the chase. How are you getting ready for that with these races just really being about going for wins or trying to sort things out? How are you preparing for that final run of the championship?
Well, I'm just trying to keep the car out of the wall, so that's the plan for the chase. If I can keep the car rolling at the end of the race, I'll be happy. So that's what I'm working on right now to do good in the chase.
Talk a little bit of strategy here. Now, we saw a few guys maybe had to duck into the pits for fuel or for tires. You decided not to. It looked like you might have had the best car there right at the end. I'm not sure if our winner was saving fuel or not, but you seem to have something going on there. Was it all about the long run for you? Did you save a little bit early on to make sure you can go for the long run?
I saved a little bit, but the idea was we were right on the window when one of the cautions came out, so we decided to go down and fill the car up and save a little bit on that caution, hoping that it would stay green to the end, and it did, and it worked out. So this game plan was just to try again to keep the car going at the end, because this is such a difficult track. And one thing I am very proud of is I don't believe I touched the wall once, so for once I'm able to come away with a clean car at Darlington.
Actually, I was just going to say that car looks pretty much immaculate. I say wipe the dirt off of it, put it back in the trailer, pull it out for Sobo next race.
Yeah, I think this car's ready to go.
Right on. That was Jake Wright, 2nd place tonight here at Darlington. I'm pretty sure Sam has got a fairly excitable and talkative Brian Yacek.
Yes, Brian Yacek, congratulations on your win. We'll let you take it from there.
Thanks, Sam. Man, I can't believe it. This thing, we had the car painted up like the old Dale Earnhardt Rookie of the Year deal. from 1979, and I'll tell you what, I felt like Earnhardt tonight. That thing, it was hooked up as it could be. I mean, with 125-degree track temp, we were just sliding everywhere, and I knew, we had that little pit stop, and I saved maybe a hair of fuel under caution, but once we got rolling and the pace kind of slowed down, I was 2 laps to the good. So I thought Jeff was trying to get a one up on me, but he made it work.
How was fuel going? Do you think that's why Jeff Ward came into the pits? And is that why you gave up 5 seconds at the end there toward Jake Wright?
No, I was good to go. Like I said, we came off a pit road, and I knew it was right on the number. So underneath those pace laps, I was shutting it off and saving a little bit just to give me some cushion at the end of it. The way Jake was catching me is I just flat ran my tires off. I was sliding that thing around, and I did not partake in tire management tonight. Just drove the guts out of it all night trying to keep up with Jeff. I mean, if he didn't pit, I had nothing. Nothing for Jeff. He had us clean covered. I could maybe get a little bit better run in 3 and 4, but he was destroying me in 1 and 2. But no, we were when I came across the line there at the end, I just flat wore out the tires, and I was watching the relative gap to Jake, and I know Jake is he's really, really good at saving his stuff, and God, he was flying at the end of that one, and I kept looking the gap and looked down at the relative, and then looked at how many laps were to go, and I came around with 2 to go, and I saw the gap was about 1.5 seconds, and I thought, all right, we'll be all right. And then he closed it up, coming with the white, and I went, oh God. But we were able to hold on and get this HVPsimulation.com throwback Ford Mustang into Darlington Victory Lane.
Now, I asked Paul Pepper the same thing here, but it seems you really came on stronger towards the end of the season. You were having a few struggles at the start of the year. Do you think, and I may have asked you this before, but here after this race at Darlington, you get another win this season. Do you think there's something you're doing that's contributing to these performances, or do you think you just got all the bad luck out the way?
A season is it's just long, and you can't have every good race early on, and kind of how the ebbs and the flow of the season go. But I'm always, if nothing else, I am a religiously consistent driver. I mean, it's how we kind of finish up with the bridesmaid dress a lot. But basically, when you look at the season, I haven't finished out of the top. I've only finished out of the top 10 twice, and just kind of getting into a lot of these tracks that are good, and you just kind of have to perform. I mean, really, just all the early stuff. Once you get locked into the chase, and you start going for it, then it's my kind of game. Where you just kind of keep consistent with it and chipping away at it, and and I think that really plays into my wheelhouse. Just being a consistent driver, and now we're good when I wanted to be. Getting towards the end of the season, put ourselves in championship contention. We're sitting pretty healthy. On that side, and just everything's coming together. Sam, that's really what it boils down to.
Well, even though the bridesmaid's gown looks good on you, Brian, the confetti on the car in Victory Lane looks great too. Congratulations on the win. We'll let you go and celebrate. Thanks for coming to talk to us.
Hey, thanks for broadcasting us. We were able to get it out there and let this old dog hang out at Darlington, and man, it was fun. So, yeah, man, winner at Darlington. That's awesome.
All right, that was our race winner, Brian Jarzik there, and we had several cautions in the first half of the race, Smithy, 4 in total actually, and a couple of them were pretty nasty, but at the end of the day we had a long green flag run, a good fight at the end there, and Brian Jarzik comes away with another victory.
No, it was a fun one to watch. It was up and down. We had different strategies. It's Darlington. We knew it was going to be tough. We knew the conditions were tough with it being slick. These guys put on a show, and at the end it came down to the wire.
Absolutely. Now these drivers will be back in action at South Boston next week. However, we're not entirely sure if we're going to have that on GSRC right now. Hope we do, and if we do, you'll be able to catch it here next Monday night. what you will be able to see, if you like what you saw today, the PRL Cup Series will be in action tomorrow night. They will also be racing here at Darlington, very much similar to what you saw tonight if you enjoyed this race that you saw tonight, except they'll be in the Cup cars. We would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the Premier Racing League Coastal Safety Auditors Grand National Series for coming here tonight and putting on a great show. We would also like to thank the makers of the various software and hardware that you see on your screen. Thanks to the team today, Michael Smith, Joe Peak, and our camera guru, Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thanks also goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. All of our upcoming races for our other series on screen, so be sure to check those out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.